generalization question. I mean, is housing important for anyone? I mean,
That was
I
a question
apologize.
for
I'm not
you.
sure what.
Do you
what you're looking
prioritize
for.
veterans' benefits when it comes to housing? Making sure that our
I
veterans
prioritize
have
all the
housing?
benefits that our veterans earn.
No, specifically, it's yes or no then. We can just do yes or no. Thank you, Mr.
Well, if I
Chairman.
will-
Thank you, Secretary, for being here today. I have a few questions for you. Would you agree that housing is an important priority for our veterans?
In generalization question, I mean, is housing important for anyone? I mean,
That was a
I
question
apologize.
for
I'm not
you.
sure what.
Do you
what you're looking
prioritize
for.
veterans' benefits when it comes to housing? Making sure that our
I
veterans have
prioritize all
housing?
the benefits that our veterans earn.
No, specifically, it's yes or no then. We can just do yes or no.
Well, if I will do that if it actually answers the question.
Is it a
but
yes or a no, sir?
For what?
Do you prioritize veterans' housing?
I prioritize all
Yes or
veterans'
no?
benefits.
Yes or no, please.
Yes or no to what?
I just.
I mean, we can play this game back and forth. Our
Secretary
veteran-
Collins, I'm not interested in that. I'm really getting.
It seems you are.
Secretary Collins, I am not interested in that. We have real concerns, especially in the state with our veterans. So could you please answer it yes or no? If you choose not to answer, just say you choose not to answer, and it's not important.
Do we prioritize housing for veterans? Yes. We also prioritize
Thank you.
health care and
Thank you.
everything
So
else.
do you prioritize and fully commit to housing veterans, especially when it comes to flexible assistance to homeless veterans?
I'll fully commit to helping the veterans in any way we can through the programs we currently have, but I'll refuse to get the VA involved in something like VAST that we should have never been involved with to start with.
Excuse me, could you please answer my question because we are not talking about VAS. Once again, the question is, if you would like to listen to the question, is do you support providing flexible assistance to our homeless veterans, like access to transportation, hygiene products, blanket support to help our veterans?
The answer is we
Yes or
support
no,
our
sir?
veterans.
Yes or no?
I mean,
Thank you.
yes. But the
Thank
question,
you.
I have a
Do you
question.
believe-
Where are we not?
Do you believe that access to lands owned by VA should be in part used to address veterans' homelessness? That's yes or no?
If the land is suitable,
That's
It
a
can-
yes or
it can
no?
be used.
Yes or no?
I can't give you an answer to a question that has a hypothetical that cannot be answered.
It's a yes or no?
No, it is not.
It is, okay, so we're
Mr.
not.
Chairman, I mean, I
Excuse
cannot
me,
answer a
it's my
hypothetical.
time, sir, it's my time. You don't need to look at the chairman, I'm right here and it's my time.
I know exactly where you are,
Okay,
because I
thank
can't
you.
answer your
So
question.
the respect that I'm giving you, I deserve it also.
I'll get
So
it.
please answer those questions as yes or no, because you're taking up my time with this. So the next question I have for you, now there's so many veterans who are losing their homes, especially in Florida, and we're finding more of them becoming homeless. So my real concern is about the Elizabeth Dole Act. We have a clause in there that actually deals with that, and you have not been implementing it. So that's why I want to identify if this is actually important to you or if it's a priority, because my veterans do want to know if this is one of your priorities.
Yes, it is a priority. Anything in the Dole Act we will implement.
So why have you not taken it to implement it in these stances?
Because the Dole Act was given at the end of last administration. It came in, and I've been in here over 4 months. There are 72 total provisions in the Dole Act. We've completed 9. We're working on track with 55. We got 2 that were still at risk, and we're still working. So we're doing everything we
So
can.
if
under the
housing
time
was
frame.
in fact a priority for you, wouldn't you skim it to find out which priorities or how can you actually make housing accessible? Because my question is, we looked at and we saw that there was a significant gains were made towards homelessness from January of 2023 to 2024. Right now, we're seeing that there's a potential for us to lose the momentum that we've been gaining. And in addition to that, when we talk about the service purchase program, which you said that you would like to terminate or you're terminating, we want to know what are the other instances, or what do you have in place for our homeless veterans to protect them?
The issue in termination of ASP is that we are looking to do everything we possibly can that is already currently there for veterans in the VA for assistance, whether it be their mortgage or other things. We also can work with other agencies such as HUD and others to find ways to help them as we go forward. I'm willing to look and move forward anything we can without sacrificing also the bigger picture. I'm not, unfortunately, able to just simply pick the areas, especially in the Dole Act, where I want them to get all of it implemented for all of the caregivers as we go forward. And I think Donald Trump just a few, and with Congressman Pappas as well, that EO also talked about using facilities, the VA, which has been ignored, and frankly, under previous administrations, was allowed land that we had that we could have helped homelessness in LA was actually farmed out to private schools and ball fields. So I'm trying to look at it from a perspective. You and I actually agree probably more than unfortunately this came off, and I apologize for that. We agree on this issue that we need to look at what we can do within the confines of what we have.
And so how quickly do you believe that you'll start prioritizing or putting this in place? Because I have to answer to my veterans also, to make sure that we see them and we understand that housing is so critically important, especially towards their dignity and the contract that we have with our veterans, which is to protect them and make sure they live with dignity.
I agree with you, and I'll be happy to work with you and talk about specific instances, especially Florida. I have Georgia is my home. I don't get there very often anymore, but it's a very similar situation for us on housing cost and housing quality. Any of those information within the Dole Act, we're going to continue to implement. And if there's ways that we can help expand something we currently already have, I'm willing to look at that as well. But I think this is just where we need to make sure that we're doing stuff that help and doesn't either have a negative impact some other place with other programs.
And so my last question is going to be really quick, even though it's a huge issue. It's about the dismantling of the Office of Equity Assurance. We just had a roundtable where we had many of our minority veterans there who talked about the disparities and them actually drawing down their benefits, specifically when it comes to PTSD. How are you going to handle these situations, specifically when that office has been dismantled?
That office, again, being dismantled has nothing to do with the fact of my commitment to make sure any veteran who's earned a benefit gets their benefit, no matter what their background, what their skin color, or anything
Specifically, the
else.
disparities I wanted to point to. How are you going to
Okay.
handle the disparities? Because we have years and years of documentation, especially when it came to housing, where we saw different generations that were disadvantaged. How are you going to do that specifically when this office has actually been dismantled?
I think it's when you're actually supposed to be doing your job, it takes a secretary to lead and make sure that our organizations are not doing
Will you
anything
be
away from
handling
that.
that? Will you be handling it? Because you said it takes a secretary.
It takes a secretary to give leadership to the organizations that are supposed to be approving our benefits. Congressman, if you have somebody who's been discriminated against or not getting the benefits they've earned, then I'll be happy to work with you to make sure that's rectified. But that's something against the law that we're not going to break law. We're going to actually give the benefits that they've earned.
Okay, so specifically, should they contact your office then? Because this office has been dismantled. Who should they reach out to?
Well, the question is not the office that was not a part of the benefits that they weren't getting. Why are they not contacting the office of the benefits in which they were denied?
Sir, the question specifically is who should they contact?
If it's
Office
which
has been
benefit are they looking for? If they should call VBA, which is the benefits, that would be the area to call. If it's a,
So there's not going to be, the elimination now is going to be shifted to different offices. Thank you.
Representative Sheila Trefilis McCormick showed us something today that was both frustrating and revealing. She pressed VA Secretary Doug Collins on a fundamental issue. Whether housing is truly being prioritized for veterans, it should have been a straightforward exchange, a yes or no answer, but instead, Collins gave us what we've come to expect from this Republican-led VA: dodges, deflections, and word games. When asked directly if he prioritizes housing for veterans, Collins couldn't simply say yes. Think about that for a second. Housing is not some abstract policy issue. It's about whether men and women who wore the uniform have a roof over their heads tonight. It's about whether the country they served recognizes their sacrifice by ensuring they aren't left to sleep under bridges or in shelters. This should never be a partisan question, but Collins made it one by refusing to answer plainly. Trefilis McCormick kept pushing because she understood what was at stake. She wasn't just speaking as a politician scoring points. She was speaking for veterans in her state of Florida who are losing their homes right now. She pointed to the Elizabeth Dole Act, which Congress passed to help veterans and their caregivers. The law includes provisions to address housing insecurity and homelessness. Yet many of those provisions haven't been implemented. Collins admitted the VA has managed to complete only 9 out of 72 provisions so far. 9. And even then, housing isn't being treated as a top priority. If veterans' housing were truly a priority, those provisions would be at the front of the line, not buried somewhere down the road. This isn't just bureaucratic delay. It's a moral failure. Every month of delay means more veterans slipping into homelessness. Every half answer and deflection from Collins translates into real consequences for families who served their country and now can't keep a roof over their heads. Trefilis McCormick also raised another critical point that often gets swept under the rug: equity. For years, studies have documented racial disparities in how veterans access benefits, especially in areas like housing and PTSD support. Black and brown veterans have been disproportionately denied benefits or faced greater barriers to receiving them. That's why the Office of Equity Assurance existed, to monitor and correct these disparities. And what did Collins do? He dismantled it. That decision matters because without an office dedicated to tracking inequities, these disparities don't go away. They deepen. Minority veterans who already face higher risks of housing insecurity and systemic discrimination are left even more vulnerable. When Trefilis McCormick asked who veterans should now contact if they believe they're being denied benefits unfairly, Collins had no real answer. He pointed vaguely to different bureaucratic offices, shifting responsibility instead of accepting it. This gets to the heart of the problem. Republicans are quick to wrap themselves in the flag, to shout support our troops, to use veterans as props at rallies. But when the cameras are off, and the policy questions come, that support suddenly becomes conditional, delayed, or buried under red tape. It's easy to say we support our veterans. It's much harder to prove it with action, especially when that action requires money, focus, and accountability. Housing for veterans isn't a luxury, it's the baseline of dignity we owe to those who served. A veteran who comes home and ends up on the street has been failed, not just by the VA, but by all of us. And that's why Shirphyllis McCormick's persistence mattered. She refused to let Collins hide behind vague platitudes. She insisted on clarity because her constituents, real veterans in real need, deserve answers. And here's what viewers need to take away. This isn't just about one hearing. It's about a pattern. We've seen rising homelessness among veterans across the country, especially in states like Florida and California. We've seen budgets that allocate billions to defense contractors and weapon systems while dragging their feet on housing assistance. And we've seen an administration that talks a big game about patriotism, but can't even prioritize basic housing protections for the people who wore the uniform. This is where accountability comes in. If Congress doesn't keep the pressure on, if the media doesn't shine a light on these evasions, and if the public doesn't demand better, nothing will change. Veterans will keep falling through the cracks while leaders in Washington congratulate themselves for working on it. That's why hearings like this matter, and that's why voices like Shirphyllis McCormick's matter even more, because she forced the issue into the open. So the question becomes, what do we want our priorities to be? Do we want to keep pouring billions into endless wars and private contractors while veterans sleep on the streets? Or do we want to make housing, dignity, and equity non-negotiable priorities for those who served? That's the real choice. If you believe veterans deserve more than empty words, if you believe they deserve homes, dignity, and fairness regardless of race or background, then we need to demand it. Call your representatives, raise this issue in your community, and hold leaders accountable when they try to dodge responsibility like Secretary Collins did today. And right here on Liberal Lens, we'll keep following these hearings, exposing the doublespeak, and making sure the voices of veterans, not just the slogans, are heard. So if you care about this issue, don't just watch, join the conversation, like, share, subscribe, and let's keep building pressure until real change happens.